Hi everyone, how are you? It is officially just about kind of almost the weekend, right? So, by the time you guys are listening to it, it'll be Friday, so close to the weekend, right? I'm recording on a Thursday night, and the snow is melting, and it's that, that kind of temperature where it's just in the middle, and that's really hard on my fibromyalgia, my old bones, my old ass. It just hurt everywhere. Do you guys get that? Where you just hurt. Um, Old bones. So let's see. Today is 3/3, 2023. There's like a lot of cool dates. Have you guys noticed that about this 2023? It's just kind of fun to write out all of the dates that there are. And let's see, it's a 12/12. What I want to do tonight is I want to get you all caught up on the Idaho 4 in the Brian Kohberger's search warrants. I've done a little bit of content on this as it is from literally my homeland. I grew up very, very close to where this happened. Um, my horrible stepfather, who was the defective detective, as I refer to him as, um, went to the same college as Brian Kohberger, got the same degree as Brian Kohberger, lived with his roommates right there in Pullman, very close to Brian Kohberger. So it's like these things I'm seeing are just bringing up so many memories. The news stations that I see are the news stations that I watched as a child. When I moved over to the Seattle area, I see the same news stations in which I did work with, and it's all just very surreal. I tend to stay away from the Idaho content unless it is something that is verified. I don't want to be part of the problem for respect for the victims. I know that right now the popular thing is to say that it might have been drug related because one of the girls or two of the girls' mothers have addiction issues, and um, I'm going to stay away from saying that because those girls were on their own, going to college, doing the right thing. To say that it must be drugs because their parents are in drugs, to me, is unfair because I have had to work so far to be the opposite of who raised me and what I was raised with. Um, and to break the generational curse of abuse and addiction within my own generation. And my sisters did not have children, so um, the the abuse and the addiction is stopped in my generation, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot easier to be an addict in today's world. It's really hard to be sober and have to deal with those who are addicted. So I'm staying away from anything that does that. In that whole thing, I have a hard time seeing what they have on Kohberger. I am not seeing it. I need this to go to trial, I guess, so that I can see what they have. I mean, to me, it seems like they got very, very lucky with the DNA on the sheath, the snap of the sheath of the leather case that most likely held the murder weapon. They don't have the murder weapon. They have a knife case, essentially, the sheath of one of those K-bars, military issue knife. Um, People say that, oh, yeah, you couldn't have done that, blah, 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 with one weapon. Baloney. 4 people to one military issue knife that has the guard to protect yourself from cutting yourself in an assault? Absolutely. I have no doubt this was one weapon used on all 4, sadly. Um, they didn't stand a chance. They were taken in the night, not expecting it. They were in the prime of their lives, seeing everybody and everything as good, just having a good time. Um, So like I say, I stay away from a lot of the conjecture when there are things that are released. Um, I do like to share them with you. And if it's not your cup of tea, speaking of me drinking my cup of tea, if it's not your cup of tea, don't worry. You don't have to listen to this. Don't worry. I won't be offended. We can go back to our other things we talk about. Not even a problem. Of course, there could be some sensitivity or Of course, there could be some sensitive content in what we're talking about due to the nature of the subject matter. So I'll try to be sensitive if I see something coming up. Do is I want to read the latest thing that was just released, and it is the return of the items from the search warrant from Pennsylvania. I see people referring to different things that were taken, and I just wanted to get the whole story, so I figured I'd take y'all on this journey with me. Once again, thank you all for always being here, supporting me, and being so nice to me. Like I say, I think that I have like, what, 2% of trolls? I mean, you guys are amazing to me. I am so lucky. I have the best community ever. I have the best subbies. Let me see here. There we go. Okay, so we're starting here, and this is page 1 of 31 of the Brian Kohberger search warrant, and it's for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The application for search warrant and authorization, and it has all the good stuff. Any and all items stated here. Okay, so this is going to the premises, which are described as 119 Lambsden Drive, Chestnut Hill Township, Monroe County, a single-family residence with white siding, tan foundation, and dark-colored shutters. An attached garage is located on side B. A small shed with a door and windows is located at the rear of the property, along with all curtilage of property. Curtilage of the property is essentially your curb, anything that you put out. So one of the interesting aspects of this case is that Brian Kohberger himself was not in any DNA search banks. So what they did with the DNA that they found on the metal part of the snap of the sheath was they sent it in and it came back as nothing. They got a familial match, I believe is how they did it. And the familial match showed that it was the dad. And so they got, they found the dad's address and everything in Pennsylvania, and they went and they obtained a Band-Aid that had blood on it. The way they were able to obtain that is because they obtained it from the garbage. So when you throw out something to the garbage and you put it on the curb, that is considered the curtilage of your property, and that is fair game for us dumpster divers. You put it out on the curb, you no longer have a right to it. So that's what they did. The FBI basically told the trash carriers, the garbage guys, the garbage men, that they wanted the garbage coming from that property, and so they told them to go and get it, and then they had that garbage put in a different bag or whatever, set aside for the FBI agents, and they went through all of the garbage trying to find something that would confirm that DNA, and from that they showed that there had to be, how did it go, the DNA? Because then the DNA proved that there could only be a male, I don't know, something with the DNA then proved that it had to be within, I don't know how they do it. They did something like that, and I can't remember the last piece and how they connected it to Brian Kohberger. But the problem is is that I don't see that they have anything else. When I read the original search warrants talking about what they had for Brian's apartment in Pullman, they had just basically the phone records, and they had some pings that he was in the area, but he had a job in the area. He had went to school there. So just a second. Just got some messages I had to deal with. And so yeah, I'll have to figure out how that went again. Sorry, I shouldn't have started on that tangent if I didn't remember exactly how it went. But anyway, so this was December 29th, certified from the record. They put this out to get, was this to get the, is this how it started? And they got the garbage? Is this what this part is? Probably. And, okay, date of violation was 11/13. Clerk of Courts assigned this December 29th. So warrant. Okay, so this is where they had the warrant to get the garbage. Okay, that makes sense, and how they got it from the dad. But then how did they connect it back to Brian? I don't remember. Okay, there we go. So this is the return of service and inventory. And I had just seen this uploaded a couple of days ago. So let me see where we go down here. Okay, so this is the return and what they got back. The seized property on 12/30/22 for Brian Kohberger. See attached FBI FO 597. This is a receipt for property collected and seized from Brian Kohberger at 119 Lambston Drive, Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. And it says, so this is what they seized in this search warrant in Pennsylvania. Sorry. Let me see. That's what it was. Let's go down here. County of Monroe. Here we go. Okay. So this is just the nitty-gritty on the first part. Pennsylvania. I don't know. I'm tired, but I'm in pain, so I can't sleep. So I gotta just babble. Here we go. So let's see. We've got some FBI agents signing off on here. Receipt from property from the United States Department of Justice, FBI. So I don't know, because people keep talking about this flashlight. So I don't know what the significance of it is, but people keep referring to it as this flashlight that was seized. So I see here that they took one Defiant silver flashlight. DEFIANT. One is, the number one is in parentheses, and then the word one is written out, and then it's the one in parentheses again, and it says Defiant silver flashlight. Okay, and then it says they took. Okay, now it's numbered numerically over here, 1 through 9. And then it goes one Defiant silver flashlight. Okay, I see what they did. Now the next thing is 4 medical style gloves. It would stand to reason with the lack of forensics that they found at the scene that he had gloves. And then it says they seized a white Arizona Jean Company large t-shirt. And they seized a Champion WSU Cougars large black sweatshirt. Yeah, because he went to Washington State University. They are the Cougars. And they took a pair of black and white size 13 men's Nike shoes. This dude is big. I mean, how the others slept through this with this big ass murderer in there, I don't know. Sipping my tea, sipping my tea. That licorice tea I told you about yesterday. Pair of Under Armour socks. Pair of Under Armour black large shorts. Under Armour black boxers large. One buccal swab. And then nothing follows here. Okay. Then nothing further. So they, they put the lines through so people can't be, writing it in. And then you see Brian Kohberger's signature written in cursive, and then you see it printed. And I think that this is important to highlight how odd his handwriting is. It looks like that of a second grader. The cursive, second or third grader, the printing is really honestly like that of a second or third grader. You would say, does he have some problem with stability in his hands or whatnot? But knowing what he's accused of doing, apparently not. But that's really interesting. And this document is useful. Thank you. Ready not say, well, get out of here. Get off my page. I don't want to see you. All right. So then let's see here. Just more papers. Okay. So this is what I previously have narrated before. And let me see if I want to do this again. I will. So this is Exhibit A of Statement of Brett Payne. The below information is provided by Corporal Brett Payne, who is a duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer within the County of Latah, State of Idaho. Corporal Payne is employed by Moscow Police Department in the official capacity or position of corporal and has been a trained and qualified peace officer for approximately 4 years. Corporal Payne is being assisted by members of the Idaho State Police and agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. On November 13, 2022, at approximately 4:00 p.m., Department Sergeant Baker and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, hereafter the King Road residence, to assist with scene security and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. So they went there that day in the afternoon. At first I thought that they were going to be referring to what had happened then they know it happened around 4 a.m. So I was like, "Ooh, is this a big error like Watts style?" Upon arrival, the Idaho State Police ISP forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. Officer Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom door on the north side of the building. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Officer Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I learned later through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernoodle's, hereafter Kernoodle room. Just before this room was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernoodle's, laying on the floor. Kernoodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin, Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined in the autopsy report provided by Spokane medical examiner Venus Singh, dated December 15, 2002, to be caused by sharp force injuries. I then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, hereafter Goncalves' room. I later learned from review of Officer Noon's body camera that there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Goncalves and her ex-boyfriend Jack DeCower. I found out from my interview with Jack DeCower on November 13, 2022, that he and Goncalves shared the dog. Officer Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogan's, hereafter Mogan, bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Goncalves and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had a KA bar, USMC, and the United States Marine Corps Eagle, Globe, and Anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath. Now, off to the side here, me commenting, it stands to reason then, if the knife sheath was found there, it stands to reason that the knife was taken out there. Okay? They had all kinds of rumors and whatnot, but of who was the target. It seems as though the 2 girls in the single bed were the first victims, the first 2 murdered. And they were in the bed together. That has drawn some speculation of whether or not they were involved and whatnot. But the backstory is that one of the girls had just graduated a little bit earlier than the other, and she was moving down to Arizona. And so her things had already been moved down there, and so she shared the bed that night with her former roommate. And they were best friends. They had grown up together, so for them to share a bed was nothing out of the ordinary. They had been out partying and drinking, and they both kind of passed out there, kind of sounds like. Now, there's a lot of, you're going, okay, what made this man so infuriated with these 2 women in one bed? Was he watching them? Did he try to... Who knows, right? But if we see that the knife was taken out as the sheath was left behind, those 2 were the first and possibly the targeted 1 or 2. As part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. 2 of the interviews include Bethany Funk, hereafter Funk, and Dylan Mortensen, hereafter Mortensen. Both Funk and Mortensen were inside the King residence at the time of the homicides. Now, previously, they did not name these 2. So that's something that is newer in these more locally released documents. It says, and they were roommates to the victims. Funk's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I have learned the following. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernoodle are seen by Funk at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Perce Drive from approximately 9 o'clock p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th. Funk also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., Chapin and Kernoodle returned to the King Road residence. Funk also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence, but was a guest of Kernoodle. Yes, that is true. This is me talking off to the side. Ethan was in a fraternity along with his... He was one of three. He was a triplet, and his brother and sister were also... His sister was in a sorority, and his brother was in fraternity. All four had been in fraternity sororities, but something happened in the months prior where at least two of the girls no longer were in the sorority. Obviously, one graduated and was moving on. But there seems to be some backstory in what happened as to why they were not in the sorority, living in the sorority house anymore. Back to the script. Goncalves and Mogan were at a local bar, the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Goncalves and Mogan can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 o'clock p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Goncalves and Mogan can be seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. This video was captured by law enforcement. A private party, Eric Grower, reported that he provided a ride to Goncalves and Mogan at approximately 1:56 a.m. from downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to the King Road residence. His name was not previously mentioned in the other documents as well. Mortensen and Funk both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were at home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms, by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Kernoodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. Mortensen said she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Mortensen stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, Mortensen said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernoodle's phone showed this could have also been Kernoodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Mortensen said she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. Mortensen said she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernoodle's room. Mortensen then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. I just got a thought. What if when Xana got her DoorDash at 4 a.m., Brian came up to the door, he saw the DoorDash going there, and said that, like, one of the girls forgot something at the place or whatever, or he needed to talk to one of the girls. What if he said something to that effect, and that got him in the house without him having to break in or do anything nefarious? What if it was something as simple as that? Is that Xana opens the door for a DoorDash, he sees the opportunity and says, "Oh, hey, somebody so forgot their purse at the food truck. Can I run in and give it to her?" Maybe he'd been in the residence before. We don't know that. But what if it was something as simple as that, is that when she opened the door for the DoorDash, because maybe the girls had a habit of taking the dog out to go to the bathroom at that time of night also. And so maybe Brian or whoever else was watching knew that there was a certain time that they weren't watching the door. They walked away from the door. Their back was to the door. Something. Huh. Because, let me see. A dog can be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. So if she got the DoorDash at 4, this is 4:17, and then that is heard. Oh, there's something here that's not sitting right with me. Or is making sense. Something ain't right here. Mortensen said she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Mortensen described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular. Okay, for size 13 shoes, this is me talking. For size 13 shoes, he should be taller than 5'10". I mean, this is her estimation, so I don't know, but in my calculations, because I size up a man, let me tell you, there are correlations between foot size and intelligence. Oh, boo-boo, what you doing? Oh, please, boo, please don't shut my laptop, please. What you doing, my boo? What you doing? Me? Well, don't shut the laptop, okay, baby? Please, baby, please. Mortensen said she opened the door for the third time, and she heard the crying and saw a figure clad... Okay, blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that. I got... When I saw my boo, which, you know, as that creator said, my baby talk is disgusting and my voice is blood curdling, so I'll stop. But my boo is my boo, and I talk to him in baby talk because he's my baby. He's my baby. Anyway. Boo-boo. I can't talk to him baby talk. It makes people mad. Is not very... Okay, athletically built with bushy eyebrows. Male walked past Mortensen as she stood in a frozen shock phase. Well, if she's frozen in shock, why would she have went to sleep? If you're... Oh my god, none of this makes sense. Anyway, the male walked past Mortensen as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Mortensen locked herself in her bedroom after seeing the male. Mortensen did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe the murderer left the scene. Oh my god. Okay, this is not on the documents. This is me talking again. This is worded a little bit different than what I'd read previously. It still just doesn't make any sense to me, because especially now that they're saying that it was 3 times that she opened the door because she heard things. She heard somebody whimpering and crying. She sees some man that she doesn't know with a face mask on, not a ski mask, a face mask covering his mouth and nose, which we're all familiar with seeing from the pandemic. Sees him. She doesn't recognize him, and he leaves. And she had heard, if the security camera could hear a thud, the barking dog, and whimpering, she could have heard a lot of this too. So she sees this, is frozen in shock, and then she just goes to sleep and wakes up around noon the next day and says that it looks like one of her roommates doesn't want to wake up. Like I say, her name is Dylan, not Helen Keller. I don't get this. I don't get this. Anyway. The combination of Mortenson's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from the Funk and Mortenson's phone, and a video of suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Isn't that shocking and devastating all at the same time? That 4 lives could be taken. 4 lives that ruined how many others' lives going forward. And in less than a half an hour. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team by first using a presumptive blood test and then amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of a Vans-type shoe sole just outside the door of Mortenson's bedroom, located on the 2nd floor. This is consistent with Mortenson's statement regarding the suspect's path of travel. So he comes that close to her, probably dripping with blood and holding a scythe. What the... Just the Grim Reaper, nothing to worry about. As part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvas, and this is where I laughed before because they spelled it with 2 S's, canvas, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvas was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, in the area of King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspects or suspect vehicles traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. This video canvas resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with the other MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents that are similarly reviewing footage that was obtained. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. That could indicate premeditation. Didn't want your front license plate to be showing who you were and what you were doing. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a fourth time approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 King Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle number 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. So that what does that do to the time frame here? Because he's saying he started seeing it at 3:29, ended at 4:20. Saw it at 4:04. So he went in there. This lessens the time of the unthinkable and puts the unthinkable occurring right at the time of the DoorDash. And Dylan's just standing there like, hey. What the... Anyway, let's see here. Suspect vehicle 1 is seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of camera footage in the neighborhood that does not show suspect vehicle 1 during that time frame, I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Conestoga Drive. Palouse River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds to Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. Yes, they do. There's a lot of partying there. Oh, yes, there is. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of a criminal offense. The forensic examiner has approximately 35 years of law enforcement experience with 12 years at the FBI. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles, and he uses a database that gives visual cues of vehicles across the states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observances of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, they indicated it could also be a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle that is a 2001 to 2016 white Hyundai Elantra. Investigators were given access to video footage at the Washington State University WSU campus located in Pullman, Washington. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13, 2022, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on Northeast Nevada Street at Northeast Stadium Way. At approximately 2:53 a.m., a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra, known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington, towards State Road 270. State Road 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. This camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman, Washington as being a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. At approximately 5:25, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard in northwest on State Route 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. Depiction showing Moscow and Pullman is this squiggly thing here that may or may not make sense to anybody, and signed December 22, followed by it is not showing here, but there are pictures that have a more clear diagram. I apologize for this copy not being very clear. They kind of show where they have the legend over here where they have the white Elantra leaving Wazoo, returning to Wazoo, WSU, and arrows locating which way it went. And none of this really matters much. I think it's just fascinating to try to think about if they saw the vehicle this time, they saw the vehicle the second time, we're really talking in literally under 20 minutes for him to have gained access, killed 4 people that were active, young, in the prime of their life, people that couldn't fight back. In each instances, it was 2 against 1, and the 2 couldn't overtake him. And now it's not sounding like they were asleep if Xana had just gotten DoorDash. And it's just getting weirder and weirder. And the 2 other roommates were there, and I don't know. On November 25th, 2022, MPD asked law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for a white Hyundai Elantras in the area. On November 29, 2022, at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University, WSU, police officer Daniel Tingo queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate LFZ TAC 8649. This vehicle was registered to Brian Kohberger, hereafter Kohberger, residing at 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment 201, Pullman, Washington. 1630 Northeast Valley Road is approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way, the last camera location that had picked up the white Elantra. Okay. That same day at approximately 12:58 a.m., WSU Officer Curtis Whitman was looking for a white Hyundai Elantras and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at 1630 Northeast Valley Road in Pullman in the parking lot. 1630 Northeast Valley Road is an apartment complex that houses WSU students. Officer Whitman ran the car and it returned to Kohberger with a Washington tag. I reviewed Kohberger's Washington State driver's license information and photograph. This license indicates that Kohberger is a white male with a height of 6 foot tall, so just 6 foot even, and weighs 185 pounds. You think he's wearing a size 13 shoes to make it look like he's a little bigger somewhere? I don't know. A 6 foot and a size 13 shoes, I don't know. I mean, they're usually like a 10.5 to an 11. This isn't adding up to me. Anyway, he weighs 185 pounds. 6 foot tall, 185 pounds. Not muscular. Not an athlete. And these four were active, young, healthy people. I don't get this. Additionally, the photograph of Kohberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows. I don't know what constitutes bushy eyebrows by definition, but Kohberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male Mortensen saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including a review of Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Corporal Duke's body cam and reports, showed that on August 21st, 2022, Brian Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho, by Corporal Duke. At the time, Kohberger, who was the sole occupant, was driving a 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate LFZ TAC 8649, which was set to expire on November 30th, 2022. During the stop, which was recorded via a law enforcement body camera, Kohberger provided his phone number as 509-592-8458. The 8458 phone as his cellular telephone number. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that the 8458 phone is a number issued by AT&T. On October 14, 2022, Brian Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by a Wazoo police officer. Upon review of that body cam and report of the stop, Kohberger was the sole occupant and was driving a 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate LFZ TAC 8649. On November 18, 2022, according to the Washington State Licensing, Kohberger registered the 2015 white Elantra with Washington and later received a Washington plate CFB TAC 8708. Prior to this time, the 2015 white Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. This was learned through communications with a Pennsylvania officer who is currently certified in the state of Pennsylvania. Based on my own experience in communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. So they did find out that you don't have to in Pennsylvania. Now, I talked about that previously, and I don't like a front plate. I think it doesn't look good. I mean, I understand that it aids in red light cameras, but otherwise I don't like it. And because I've lived in several states, I fall back to that excuse of, oh, well, I don't know. I didn't know because it didn't in this state, so I didn't know that you would need such a thing. Or I say that the car wash ripped off my thing, or I say, oh my God, somebody must have stolen it if I do get pulled over and they ask me about why I don't have a front plate. But, anywho, can't be having, front plate messing with my style. Investigators believe that the Kohberger, kind of like the Tamburglar, but much different. Investigators believe that Kohberger is still driving the 2015 white Elantra because his vehicle was captured on December 13, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Information provided by a query to a database. Kohberger's Elantra was then queried on December 15, 2022 by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. What's he doing all over, huh? On December 16th, at approximately 2:26 p.m., surveillance video showed Kohberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, learned through a TLO search and locate tool database query. Based on information provided on the WSU website, Kohberger is currently a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. Pursuant to records provided by a member of the interview panel for Pullman Police Department, we learned that Kohberger's past education included an undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. Cloud-based forensics. Huh. These records also showed Kohberger wrote an essay which he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. Oh, so he was going to be a police officer. Kohberger wrote in his essay that he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Kohberger also posted a Reddit survey which can be found by an open source internet search. The survey asked for participants to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision making when committing a crime, such as a quadruple murder. As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13, 2022, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Because he knows. Because he's surveilled cloud-based things, so he knows. Yes, he does. Based on my training, experience, and conversations with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records as part of investigations, individuals can either leave their cellular phone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their cellular telephone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a cellular device associated with them was in a particular area where a crime is committed. I also know that on numerous occasions, subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. Depending on the circumstances, this could be done a few days before or several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an would not leave their cellular telephone at a separate location or turn it off since they do not plan to commit the offense on that particular day. On December 23, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between November 12th, 2022 at 12 a.m. and November 14th at 12 a.m. for the 8458 phone held by the phone provider AT&T approximately 24 hours preceding and following the times of these homicides. December 23, 2022, prior to that search warrant, I received the records for the 8458 phone from AT&T. These records indicated that the 8458 phone is subscribed to Brian Kohberger at an address in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and the account has been open since June 23, 2022. These records also included historical self-site location information, CSLI, for the 8458 phone. After receiving this information, I consulted with an FBI special agent, SA, that is certified as a member of the Cellular Analysis Survey Team. Members of CAST are certified with the FBI to provide expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that includes both written and practical examinations prior to be certified with CAST, as well as the completion of yearly certification requests. Additionally, the FBI CAST SA that I consulted with has over 15 years of federal law enforcement experience, which includes 6 years with the FBI. From information provided by CAST, I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from November 1, 2022 to November 13, 2022, the time period authorized by the court. On November 13, 2022, at approximately 2:42 a.m., the 8458 phone was utilizing cellular resources that provided coverage to 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment G201, Pullman, Washington, hereafter the Kohberger residence. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that provided coverage southeast of the Kohberger residence, consistent with the 8458 phone leaving the Kohberger residence and traveling south through Pullman, Washington. This is consistent with the movement of the white Elantra. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the 8458 phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cellular coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. The 8458 phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95 south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho, town north of Genesee. Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling south on Idaho State 95 to Genesee, Idaho, then traveling west towards Uniontown, Idaho, then north back into Pullman, Washington. Approximately 5:30 a.m., the 8458 phone is utilizing resources that provide coverage to Pullman, Washington, and consistent with the phone traveling back to the Kohberger residence. The 8458's phone movements are consistent with the movements of the white Elantra that is observed traveling north on Stadium Drive at approximately 5:27 a.m. Based on a review of the 8458's phone's estimated locations and travel, the 8458's phone's travel is consistent with that of the white Elantra. Further review indicated that the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources on November 13, 2022, that are consistent with the 8458 phone leaving the area of the Kohberger residence at approximately 9 a.m. and traveling to Moscow, Idaho. Specifically, the 8458 utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. The 8458 phone next utilized cellular resources that are consistent with the 8458 phone traveling back to the area of the Kohberger residence and arriving to the area at approximately 9:32 a.m. Below is a depiction, not to scale, of the possible route taken based off cellular site locations. This is like where I say it's like they don't have a lot. I mean, here they kind of sketched out. Kind of looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost here. This is a possible based off of this possible. This is a possible route based off cellular device locations. Okay. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, 2022, but investigators do not believe that the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. The 8458 phone has not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. Huh. That's interesting. Based on my training experience and the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe that Kohberger, the user of the 8458 phone, was likely the driver of the white Elantra that is observed departing Pullman, Washington, and that this vehicle is likely suspect vehicle 1. Additionally, the route of travel of the 8458 phone during the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, and the lack of the 8458 phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. is consistent with Kohberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. On December 23, 2022, I was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's historical CSLI from June 23, 2022 to current prospective location information and a pen register trap and trace on the 8458 phone to aid in efforts to determine if Kohberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense. Conducted surveillance on the King Road residence, was in contact with any of the victims' associates before or after the alleged offense, any locations that may contain evidence of the murders that occurred on November 13, 2022, the location of the white Elantra registered to Kohberger, as well as the location of Kohberger. On December 23, 2022, pursuant to that search warrant, I received historical records for the 8458 phone from AT&T from the time the account was opened in June 2022. After consulting with CAST SA, I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from June 2022 to present, the time period authorized by the court. The records for the 8458 phone show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to the area of 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13, 2022. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. One of these occasions, on August 21, 2022, the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources providing coverage to the King Road residence from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m. At approximately 11:37 p.m., Kohberger was stopped by Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Corporal Duke, as mentioned above. The 8548 phone was utilizing cellular resources consistent with the location of the traffic stop during this time on Farm Road and Pullman Highway. Further analysis of the cellular data provided showed the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources on November 13, 2022, consistent with the phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, Idaho via U.S. Highway 195. At approximately 12:36 p.m., the 8458 phone utilized cellular services that would provide coverage to Kate's Cup of Joe stand, located at 810 Port Drive, Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage from U.S. Chef's store, located at 820 Port Drive, Clarkston, Washington, and adjacent to Kate's Cup of Joe, showed a white Elantra consistent with suspect vehicle 1 drive past Kate's Cup of Joe at a time consistent with the cellular data from 8548 phone. Approximately 12:46 p.m., the 8458 phone then utilized cellular data in the area of Albertson's grocery store at 400 Bridge Street in Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage obtained from the Albertson showed Kohberger exit the white Elantra, consistent with suspect vehicle 1 at approximately 12:49 p.m. Interior surveillance cameras showed Kohberger walk through the store, purchase unknown items at checkout, and leave approximately 1:04 p.m. Kohberger's possible path of travel is depicted below, not to scale. Another little squirrely design. Okay, additional analysis of the phone records for 8548, blah, 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 blah. Approximately 5:22 and 5:36, the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Idaho. The 8458 phone then stops reporting to the network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Hold on, this doesn't look right. That is consistent with the 8458 phone being the area that the 8458 phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time the homicides occurred. What? Doesn't make sense to me. And I stumbled a little bit on this sentence because it's not making sense to me as I'm reading it. So I apologize for that. Based on the above information, I am seeking a search warrant for Kohberger's person and his parents' residence located at 119 Lambston Drive, Albrightsville, PA 18210-119 Lambston Drive, Albertsville, PA is a single family, white in color. There is a 2-car garage located in the west side of the residence. This is the location Kohberger is currently believed to be at based off of cellular phone data received in the previous warrants. Okay, I see what you're doing here. I see. Based off information gathered during this investigation, it is believed Kohberger's mother, Mary Ann Kohberger, father, Michael Kohberger, and sister, Amanda Kohberger, currently reside in the residence. In addition, I am seeking a warrant for all outbuildings and sheds located on the property. It is also believed Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra, suspect vehicle 1, is stored in the 2-car garage on the west side of the residence. Based off the above facts, I am requesting a search warrant for Kohberger's white 2015 Hyundai Elantra bearing VIN number 5NPDH4AE6FH579860 for wherever it is found. The Hyundai Elantra is registered solely to Kohberger. Based on my experience or the experience of investigators trained in forensic psychology, I provide the following. Many electronic devices, particularly newer mobile devices and laptops, offer their users the ability to unlock the device through biometric features in lieu of a numeric or alphanumeric password or passcode. These biometric features include fingerprint scanners, facial recognition features, iris recognition features. Some devices offer a combination of these biometric features, and the user of such devices can select which features they would like to utilize. If a device is equipped with a fingerprint scanner, a user may enable the ability to unlock the device through his or her fingertips. For example, Apple offers a feature called Touch ID, which allows a user to register up to 5 fingerprints that can unlock a device. Once a fingerprint is registered, a user can unlock the device by pressing the relevant finger to the device's Touch ID sensor, which is found in the round button often referred to as the home button, located at the bottom center of the front of the device. The fingerprint sensors found on the devices produced by other manufacturers have different names but operate similarly to Touch ID. The device is equipped with facial recognition feature. A user may enable the ability to unlock the device through his or her face. For example, this feature is available on certain Android devices and is called Trusted Face. During the Trusted Face registration process, the user holds the device in front of his or her face. The device's front-facing camera then analyzes and records data based on the user's facial characteristics. The device can then be unlocked if the front-facing camera detects a face with characteristics that match those of the registered face. Facial recognition features found on devices produced by other manufacturers have different names but operate similarly to Trusted Face. What does this have to do with anything? If a device is equipped with an iris recognition feature, a user may enable the ability to unlock the device with his or her irises. I don't think that that's a plural. I don't think irises is a word. I think it's iris as the plural. But I don't know. That's a good thing. You have irises or do you have an iris? Do you have two irises? Oh, that's interesting. I've just never heard the word irises. Can you go pick me a bundle of irises? Do you look at me with your irises? I don't know. It's weird. Anyway. For example, on certain Microsoft devices, this feature is called Windows Hello. During the Windows Hello registration, a user registers his or her irises by holding the device in front of his or her face. The device then directs an infrared light towards the user's face and activates an infrared sensitive camera to record data based on patterns within the user's irises. The device can then be unlocked if the infrared sensitive camera detects the registered irises. Iris recognition features found on the devices produced by other manufacturers have different names but operate similarly to Windows Hello. Users of electronic devices often enable the aforementioned biometric features because they are considered to be a more convenient way to unlock a device than entering a numeric or alphanumeric passcode or password. Moreover, in some instances, biometric features are considered to be a more secure way to protect a device's contents. This is particularly true when the users of a device are engaged in criminal activities and thus have a heightened concern about securing the contents of a device. Well, that's a very quantitative statement without giving the what are you basing that on? Can you please cite your source, sir? As discussed in this affidavit, based on my training and experience, I believe that one or more digital devices will be found in the search. The passcode or password that would unlock the device subject to search warrant is not known to law enforcement. Thus, law enforcement personnel may not otherwise be able to access the data contained within the device, making the use of biometric features necessary to the execution of the search authorized by this warrant. I also know from my training and experience, as well as from information found in publicly available materials, including those published by device manufacturers, that biometric features will not unlock a device in some circumstances, even if such features are enabled. This can occur when a device has been restarted, inactive, or has not been unlocked for a certain period of time. For example, Apple devices cannot be unlocked using Touch ID when 1. More than 48 hours has elapsed since the device was last unlocked, or 2. When the device has not been unlocked using a fingerprint for 8 hours and the passcode or password has not been entered in the last 6 days. Similarly, certain Android devices cannot be unlocked with Trusted Face if the device has remained inactive for 4 hours. Biometric features from other brands carry similar restrictions. Thus, in the event law enforcement personnel encounter a locked device equipped with biometric features, the opportunity to unlock the device through a biometric feature may exist for only a short time. In my training and experience, the person who is in possession of a device or has the device among his or her belongings at the time the device is found is likely a user of the device. However, in my training and experience, that person may not be the only user of the device whose physical characteristics are among those that will unlock the device via biometric features, and it is also possible that the person whose possession the device is found is not actually a user of that device at all. Furthermore, in my training and experience, I know that in some cases it may not be possible to know with certainty who is the user of a given device, such as if the device is found in a common area of a premises without any identifying information as to the exterior of the surface. Thus, it will likely be necessary for law enforcement to have the ability to require any individual who is found on the subject premises and reasonably believed by law enforcement to be a user of the device to unlock the device using biometric features in the same manner as discussed as above. Okay? What is this word salad gonna do here? What in the world? What's your point here, buddy? Due to the foregoing, if law enforcement personnel encounter a device that is subject to seizure pursuant to this warrant and may be unlocked using one of the aforementioned biometric features, the warrant I am applying for would permit law enforcement personnel to 1. Press or swipe the fingers, including thumbs, of any individual who was found at the subject premises and reasonably believed by law enforcement to be a user of the device to the fingerprint scanner of the device found at the premises. 2. To hold the device or devices found at the premises in front of the face of those same individuals and activate the facial recognition feature, and or 3. Hold the device found at the premises in front of the face of those same individuals and activate the iris recognition feature for the purpose of attempting to unlock the device in order to search the contents as authorized by this warrant. Signed. That's it? That was the 31 pages? Huh. Well, I guess we don't have much new information. That's pretty much the same thing. Some of the things are not redacted anymore. I think this brings up a very valuable line of conversation in that, are you forced to give the information that is on your phone? If you do not want them to see it, what right do they have to look at it? If that is your phone and it won't open without your iris or your face, and they tell you to open it and you know that it's going to seal your fate, are you obligated to let it be opened? Or is that something that your attorney can say that they do not consent to that search? This is very interesting. And they put a lot of stuff in there to really say nothing other than they want this phone to be opened. And as Kohberger, looks like he's intelligent and probably searched this area 5 ways from sideways, is probably going to set case precedent and say no. I wouldn't be surprised. So basically, when I hear people referring to, oh, the flashlight, oh, this, that, I thought that there was something new. There isn't. So I apologize for basically rereading the same thing, but that's all the information that's out there. So when you hear TV shows, hear creators talking and whatnot, it's all conjecture. It is all speculation. There is nothing out there other than the documents that I have read to you, and they are all complete to this date, and you're updated on all that is going on in the Kohberger world and the Idaho 4 as thus that has been released to the public. Thank you for listening, and if you would, please like and subscribe. I appreciate your time more than you know, and thank you so much. I'll talk to you again soon.